Okay, so check this out. When I'm pressing the knob as a button, it is behaving very well. You can hear it and you can see it. And if I'm moving the knob and then pressing, it is also behaving okay. The program is only lighting up the LED when is seeing the button is pressed. Very, very simple and very efficient. Okay, good. Now, here, this rotary test 5, what I loaded right now and what I'm testing. So here I'm switching between the buttons pretty much. If I want A, B, or C, I'm switching them and it will change whatever button I need to test. So this is a very good testing function. Next is this function. It's also using the same button press. So it's pretty much the same line I'm having there. I'm having it here as well. And is resetting, is tuning them high, all these three. Else is incrementing this variable. And I put this variable here in this section. Now I put it here because this is more correct here, and then it's having this if and this switch. I took out this entire bunch of code and I put it separately here outside this brackets, you see, from here to here, and the behavior is absolutely the same. Let me show you. Let me actually modify it here, so to call that function. So 6, it means this function 6. Okay, press upload. So if I'm pressing from here, it is randomly counting, incrementing that counter that you've seen. So if I'm pressing now, it should be green and it's blue, and now after blue it should be red if I'm pressing now, and it is this time. Now green and it's blue again, now it's green. So it's definitely is jumping. Yeah, it's again green, and now if I'm pressing, it should be blue, and it is this time. Now red, it is green again. No, it's blue. It jumped over the green. Now after blue it should be red and it's green again. So that's a problem, because this button press, it is actually behaving correctly. You've seen with the other program before, it is pressing correctly and it is showing me this white light, which is not that white, is a yellowish white, but in reality I can actually see the red. A little bit of the red, more obvious than the other two, and it's a very shitty white what is having there. Let's say it's a warm white, but it's very shitty white. The button press, it is performing the function correctly. The chip is reading that correctly, but is not incrementing correctly. That's the problem. So it's jumping between the increments of that variable, that color. This is the color variable that it should increment per press, but for some reason it's skipping it, is jumping it, and I have no fucking idea why it's doing it. Very, very, very strange. All right, that's it. That's my biggest problem at the moment. So I believe I discovered the problem. So check this out. So if I'm keeping the button press, you can see it's cycling through these two colors, red and green. It should have cycled through blue as well, through all three, but for some very fucked up reason is only cycling through only through these two, while I'm keeping the button pressed. If I'm unpressing it, is returning to 0. And now if I'm switching from here is red. If I'm pressing shortly, very short, zack, is going to green, which is correct, and then to blue. If I'm pressing very short, pack, and now it's blue. And now if I'm pressing very short, will go to red, and I'm very sure right now it is doing the correct thing. And now green again, you see, and now blue again, and now red again. The problem is if I'm keeping it pressed longer to cycle 1 or 2 times, now it will be just random there. You see, it's green again. It should have been blue, and now after green it should be blue, like this. If I'm pushing it fast, and now should be red, but I'm holding it a little bit, and it's blue, and holding it longer, and it's blue again. You see, again, this randomness, and I discovered the problem. It was a code problem. I was aware of it in the back of my mind, but not completely 100%. So this is a lesson for me as well as for you. It's a shitty problem. So this loop that is running continuously, it will loop through this function a couple of times per second. And what I added, this delay here, this 500 milliseconds delay immediately after the color, and it is reading this red color and this green color is cycling through them. It should have shown me this blue as well, but for some reason is jumping back to red immediately after green, or green and blue. I don't know why is not showing blue. For some reason is only using these two colors and is jumping between them in half of a second as I'm keeping my finger on it, on that button. In this function, while is in that loop is checked, keeping my finger on the button is slow all the time while the program is running. It's checking this line and is jumping here because that is not valid. So my button is pressed, so it's low, so it's jumping directly here and is counting very quickly per each line, per each passing of that loop. So that loop, when it's passing one time, is incrementing this color variable one time, and then it is lighting up these three colors, and then executing everything else. And as I'm still keeping my finger on that button pressed. So the button is low, is jumping directly into the code and is incrementing again and again and again and again, as long as I'm keeping my finger on the button. So that's why I'm getting this strange, I was getting before, and still I'm getting this very strange random behavior. It's because the loop program is passing very quickly through all this stuff. So I need to somehow to stop while the button is low here in the else module of this function. I should step out from that loop. As long as I'm keeping my finger on the button, just freeze at this point, or better said, at this line here, at the last line, to freeze it. I don't know how to do it yet. I will think about it, but that's what is going on. I was aware partially about this phenomenon, but I didn't account it. I didn't give it too much thought or too much seriousness. I didn't think it's too serious of a problem, but it turns out it is the main problem here. So I have to deal with it. It was, after all, a code problem. A very shitty problem. I know these things, but I'm not doing them every day. That's the problem. I'm the personalization of the average Joe, pretty much. And I'm not doing this as a living. I'm not doing it for money. I'm just coding for pleasure. And I'm not doing this every day. That's the problem. I've read about these things in my life. I stuck this information in my memory somewhere, and I'm not bouncing my head over these problems, especially in C#. And C# is having a way of dealing with these problems a little bit more elegantly than here. Here is a little bit more brutal. That's the difference from a high-level language and this low-level language. This is a low-level C. It's not that low level. It's higher than what I deal with in the past. This is a very good program, actually, or language. But it's high enough, but it's still way more lower than C# that I'm very used to work with. It's a learning experience for me as well. I hope this information is helping you in your quest to understand how to program things and how to deal with such problems. So you have to actually stay on them and check them and test the shit out of them and get as low as possible, and test as low as possible, and do whatever necessary just to find the fucking problem. So this is what I did here. I will have to come with a solution. How? I have no idea how. But I will have to freeze this looping function somewhere here. All right, so I find a solution. I created this while loop inside this rotary test 6. So this is an empty loop. As you can actually read it here, empty, just do nothing. To freeze here and don't run the main loop. Pretty much this is the role of this while loop. So do all these things until here, increment only once, and as long as the button is pressed, meaning it is low, this rotary C button, which is the push button, just freeze here, stop the fuck here, and don't let this loop call this function over and over and over a couple of times per second. So that's what I did here. I've added this freezing element, freezing code here, and let's see how it's running in reality here in my test. It's already uploaded into the chip. So if I'm pressing the button, let's see, if I'm turning is red, it was probably blue, and now it should be green. So I'm pressing long and I'm keeping it pressed, and now if I'm turning is green, you see, I can hold it between there, and now when I'm pressing again long, it will turn into blue. So now I'm pressing it long, and after releasing it, it is blue, you see, blue. So it doesn't matter how long or short I'm pressing, you see, it's still blue because I pressed 3 times. So now if I'm pressing again 3 times, 1, 2, 3, it's still blue. Very correct. This is the correct way of functioning. Well, this problem I encountered it in PIC microcontrollers. Again, I'm not programming PIC microcontrollers every day. I'm, like I said, I'm the average Joe that is doing this thing from time to time. Really, I didn't put too much thought in it. And actually, I got into this kind of errors when I was programming PIC microcontrollers. And I know these little tricks from back then, from when I was learning them. And I'm not that good at PIC microcontrollers. I'm good to a point. Like I like to say, I'm good, but not that good. So I'm very happy that I solved this mystery problem that I was having with that randomness behavior that I was getting there. The only problem that I'm having right now, but it's not really that much of a deal. Although I'm specifying here, you see these 3 lines, to keep all of its 3 LEDs on, pretty much to create that white light. But for some reason, I have no idea why, it's keeping on only this red LED from that RGB chip. Here is over my ears at this point. I don't know why it's doing that. But I did get that white light when I was letting this loop cycle infinitely. This is a little bit of annoyance that I'm not getting exactly what I wanted, but it's really not that important. I will have to now to deal with the rest of the code that is more important. I will leave this aside, this problem with the white light. That's it for this part. I looked on internet for a code, an easy code for rotary switch, and it's very easy actually, but for some extremely strange reason in my version doesn't apply, it doesn't work at all. This is my code that I created, and it worked here in this only for this function is working okay, is lighting up RGB red or RGB blue LEDs when I'm rotating left or right, but it didn't help later. As you can see there, it didn't help on other codes, more complicated codes. This doesn't work well on more complicated codes. So I revert back to some standard codes. Yeah, this is a bit more complicated actually. This is more simplistic. It's only from here to here. And also this line on the bottom here, this line here, is sensing the left and right rotary switch. So I tested actually a lot more codes that you can see here. This is 8C, which I believe is this code here. And then I looked on this code and I decomplicated it here. So it's very similar. It's pretty much the same as that. And this is the last code that I uploaded. This is how it's working. It's supposed to lit up either red or blue LED when I'm turning the knob. And this is what it's doing. It's not doing anything. But let me upload my code. So this is my code that I created it, and it is working okay. So let me call this function from here. Opt the b. Yeah, opt b. And let me upload it. And when I'm rotating from here, nothing happens because I modified this rotary pin as input for these other codes from the internet to be in the same line with them. But let me undo back as I originally used them. And probably this is the reason why it's not working right now. And let me upload it again. Yes, exactly, perfect. So as you can see, in the moment I'm rotating the knob, it is performing one blip. And if I'm slowly rotating and moving between the two sides, it is actually sensing which direction is moving. You see, blue for right and red for left. So I'm moving slowly, so this is red for left, and now back for right is blue. So it's doing very quickly. This blipping is exactly what I wanted actually. That code from internet, it doesn't work at all. And I tried not only those two codes, I tried numerous codes and they don't work. Many codes I tried, nothing works. And I set it up correctly as a simple input, not input pull up, and it didn't work, at least with what I'm having here. So I believe I'm having a special arrangement. Probably, who knows, is a single resistor on the negative rail, and that's it. And every button is surging to the negative rail. I have to look on the commercial rotary button circuit diagram. I did find a lot of data about the pins of that rotary encoder commercial version, specific for Arduino, but I didn't find the schematic of it. I didn't search serious enough, so probably I should do that to adapt it here. Alright, that's it for this part. So I searched for a while and I didn't get anything actually for a very long time. Just like that, I just find this page where I find these two images, this one and this one. This one is the circuit for this board. So you have 3 resistors to positive line and the negative line is without any resistors. So that's what those 3 resistors on this particular board pull up resistors. And there is another version here. I was having it in my collection of images, but I did skip. My mind didn't see it. My brain didn't see it, but I did have it here. And this one is not having 1 resistor, but it's having these 2 resistors. And most probably they are pull up as well. Probably this is a circuit diagram for that, but I'm not completely sure what it is. But they are pulling up to 5 volts. This is a circuit from internet. It appears like it is for this commercial version, but I didn't realize it until I find this one and this one. You know, now I'm making the connection that this is the internal circuit diagram, a rotary encoder element. This image, I made it. I took this image from internet, this one with already with this colored pins. And this is my image that I modified to show exactly what are the pins that we are seeing it here. Pins is having, like to compare them. So this little board is also having those pull-up resistors that I wasn't particularly aware of. In my circuit diagram, what I did in my case, instead of pulling up, I put only 1 single resistor on the negative rail and that's it. So it's a pull down. It's inverse from what I'm having here. So I believe I should change my circuit diagram, what I'm having there, with a single pull-up resistor, probably, or multiple, like this is having, maybe. So that was a very big mistake because I didn't particularly look too seriously, and that cost me. Okay, now I know what to do, and I should do it. I want to believe that it will work. Okay. After that, I hope this very used code, this very elementary code that I'm having here, it will work okay. Because right now it's just freezed. Doesn't really matter if it's pull up or down, but maybe this matters. I have no idea. Maybe that pull down resistor is creating that freezing. I don't know. I don't know. We will see later if it will do some good. I will have to repair and remake my little board, what I'm having there. Yeah, you see, this is my circuit that I made, and I put the one resistor to the ground because I was lazy. And I wanted a very basic circuit, easy to build. I can actually simplify this a little bit more with only one resistor. You see how important the nodes in a circuit diagram are. I've seen some Romanian electronics, they don't like to mention any kind of nodes in their circuit. They are leaving it like that. Yeah, it's understandable, it's not problem. But they are idiots. Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated, a tiny little bit than my other one. So this is what I will use. This one single resistor on the negative rail was very good, but I have to take it out. I can put a resistor here and drag this wire from that resistor there and another wire to this thing here. The lucky one. Actually this wire should get full power from there, so my resistor should yeah. You know what, I'm an idiot. I have a very large connection here. I can bring this wire here. A little bit better, like this. Yeah, actually all 3 points are shorted. So this with this will be shorted, and with that one single wire, and from this wire and from all these 3 points I can drag one single wire to that. Or even simpler, I guess, I can connect all 3 here. Right? And practically what I'm having here, all these capacitors are from here, from these points to the ground. So from there to there, one wire, and that's it. I can do another thing actually, to be exactly like in the other diagram. I can add 3 resistors from here, connect them all 3 and drag one wire directly to the positive. But it's the same thing as what I'm doing here. Let's see, this is short enough. Yeah, I will leave it like this. You know what? I'm thinking this longer side of this wire to bring it here longer. Good. Okay, I hope nothing will blow up. I want this LED to have it here when the chip is programming. I want to see it actually blipping. I'm keeping a mirror there to see underneath. So this will be good idea to have it on this side. It's very good here, but already how it's catched. It's from this pin to there. Yeah, I can add a wire here. Here is very stable already. Oh shit. It fucked up. Okay. Okay then. I can make a tiny little board. Let's see. Small little test. small polarity test. If I remember right, this was negative. Yep. I believe I forget that pin to link it to negative rail, which I can actually link it from here, like that, like this. Let's hope everything will be okay. Alright, I tested it and it didn't work. So I will revert back to this. And per each signal wire I will put a resistor here and here. I will link them and then I will drag a wire to the positive rail. Let's see what that will do. If this is not good, maybe it's creating some short circuits there that are not good enough. And yeah, shit. Alright, it's really not that hard to change it. It's a little bit of extra work. Okay, let me see if I can find 3 resistors. It's time to use these motherfuckers, which have they say the marking on it. So these are 10 kilo, but the markings are very wrong. Yeah, you see, brown, red, black and brown. I know that brown is you cannot see it that well as being a brown. So this is the marking, and this is the normal marking. Is brown, black, and orange, and here is gold. It means 10%. So that's the difference between this and this. Maybe you will say that I am an idiot and I don't know what resistors I'm having. Let me actually measure them to show you that it is what I'm having there. So this is 10 kilo here. Yeah, 9.9, 9.8, 10 kilo exactly. So that's the new marking politics. They're fucking it up. That, like this. Let's see. Yeah, good enough. Yeah, I really don't think there is much difference, but maybe it is a difference and I don't see it. Who knows? Who knows? So like this. Okay, now it is exactly as in the commercial version with 3 resistors linked to positive rail, and that's it. Let's see now if it's still not working, then I don't know. So I uploaded the program 8C, which is the commercial one. You can find it everywhere, and this is what it's doing. Is a tiny infinitesimal blink. Here in camera is showing that it's catching a quite bright blue LED, but in reality is a tiny little dot inside, and also on the red. Maybe it is doing what it's supposed to do, and I'm not... Let me add a delay here, actually, and upload it. Check this out. Another problem. So this is the commercial one that I managed to make. And yeah, it seems that adding a little bit of delays, it is helping. So when I'm starting and ending is lighting up that red LED. And Yeah, you see, if I'm moving it slowly, 1, 2, it's having 2 steps. When it's reaching first step and when it's reaching the second step, and then is getting in between tracks or something like that. I'm not actually turning on 2 pads. It's between one pad and the next one. It's like, or a hole and another hole over one track. This is what it's doing. So now it is in this hole, and when I'm moving it there, in the next hole is passing over this track. So this is how I'm feeling it in my hand. So it's performing 2 countings. 1, 2, yeah, see? 1, 2, wow. So it was set up as input pull up in the very beginning, and this is very helpful, very helpful to have it here on this side, not underneath it. So let's see, yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2, it's exactly the same. I'm moving only one track. It's moving from one hole to another hole over one track, but it's counting 2 times for some reason, at the beginning and at the end of the track. This is very bad, but probably it's better than what I had before, because what I had before, I made it and it didn't work with more complicated stuff that I needed to combine with, and this is the commercial version, and I believe this must be better, way more better than what I had before. So in the middle of the track, I am actually on the track, not in a hole, so I can move it like that. I can feel like in the middle is something round, and this is trying to get from one hole over this round track to this next hole, and this is where I'm moving this knob, in this region between the holes. This is how, at least this is how it's feeling. This is how I am feeling it, like that. And if I'm moving it back and forward on that section, is lighting up weirdly, very weirdly. It's kind of okay, but I'm not pleased with it at all. I'm really definitely not pleased with it. I'm happy that I can do it, but it's not enough. This project is way more complicated than that. The complication comes with this LCDs. It's very complicated with them to connect to this rotary encoder. Very complicated. Okay, that's it for this part. See you next time.